Hey, it looks like we're live.
Okay, good for us. Hi, folks.
Oh,
That was a very enthusiastic wave, Corey.
thanks.
Let's.
Hey, it looks like we're live.
Okay, good for us.
Whoa.
Love the delay. Oh,
I got to pause my Facebook feed. I can't watch both. I've got to stay on Zoom.
Yeah, I think that's wise for you.
jeez.
I hear what you're saying.
Oh, Cora's watching. That's nice.
That was a very enthusiastic wave, Corey.
Thanks.
Someone has it going.
It's terrible.
Oh man, Cynthia, party people in the house.
And Julie Bishop and Judy Riggers
Nancy Ballard.
and Roy. Oh,
Yeah.
it says Roy, but Nancy.
Roy's
It's Nancy.
Roy's not watching. Oh, hi, Susan.
What was that on Romper Room where they looked on the magic looking glass and I see?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
okay.
Romper Room.
Yeah.
I don't
That
know
was
that.
way before my time.
Oh,
Oh,
look, Larry
Hi,
joined us.
Larry.
Hey, Larry's jumping in on the Facebook Live broadcast. Hey.
Hi, Larry. I kicked him off.
Hi, John.
There's a man behind you.
That's my new
That's John.
coworker.
Papa John.
Your coworker.
That's like, have you guys seen the trend that's going around about talk about the things your coworkers are doing, but like it's the things your pets or your children are doing?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I like that.
Hey, I keep waiting for the janitorial crew to show up and clean my office here, but they're not doing that. What's up with that?
Ask their manager standing behind you.
Sorry, they're not essential workers.
All right. Well, I've got 2:00. Welcome everyone to Facebook Live. We're glad you're here. And we joining with us today is Jenny Page. And she does a lot, actually. She runs the church. One of her jobs is to work with our children's ministries. And so we're glad she's here. Pastor Corey's here, of course. And Amanda Daniels, our youth and family director. And today we're going to have a conversation as we get started before we give you our announcements regarding kids of all ages, but mainly under 18 that we're ministering to. So it's really clear in the Gospels, Jenny and Corey and Amanda, that Jesus cared for children. And I remember the one story of Jesus being in a teaching situation with the disciples, and all of a sudden a child jumps up into his lap, and the disciples are concerned. Those who are with him are concerned because that just doesn't happen. In fact, kids didn't really have any rights. They certainly didn't have any responsibilities. They didn't have any value in the first century. And though that's changed for us today, oftentimes kids are overlooked. And we're in a time now where it's really difficult on kids. I have a 18-year-old son upstairs who's graduating from Hanford High School in June, whatever that means. And he's attending German class right now. And I have a 20-year-old who's working and done with the semester, but going to start a new semester. And so Amanda, you have young kids. Corey, you have medium-aged kids. Jenny, you have kids that are out of the nest, and yet you are, as of today, what time was that?
9:14 last night.
So as of yesterday, then 9/14, you are now a grandmother. So congratulations, Andy and Seth Rosser and baby Judah. So we all have kids. How are we helping them? I want to have a discussion about how are we helping them navigate these troubled times? What are some of the things that you guys are doing?
Well, I've got a whole list of things that I've been recommending to parents and both within our congregation and those that I know, in the neighborhood and just in life in general. But the biggest one that I recommend to people is to pray, because God wants us to talk with Him and to look to Him for that comfort and that peace. And really that's the answer to any stress or anxiety that we may be experiencing in times like this, is to take it to God and pray about it, and pray with your kids about what they're feeling. And one of the things that I've recommended to a couple of parents is encourage your kids to pray out loud with you. And that might give you a glimpse into, what it is that's on their heart, that maybe they are struggling to answer and direct questions from the parents, but kids will just start to talk and ramble with God. And as a parent, that can give you some clues as to where they're at.
So Jenny, in your experience also, do kids pick up on your emotions and how you're feeling? And so, for instance, if you have fear and if you're anxious in this time, are kids going to pick up on that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Kids are little sponges, and they just soak up whatever it is that they're exposed to. And so as the parents or other adults in kids' lives, we need to, not mislead them with how we're feeling, because honesty is always the best answer. But we need to be measured and appropriate with what it is that we share with the kids in our lives about what it is that's causing us to be anxious or stressed or whatever. So we need to first be able to identify what it is that we feel. And, remember that great workshop that we had in February with Pastor Perry. He gave us a list of emotions. And this was a great time to break out that list of emotions so that we can better identify what it is that we feel, so that then we can help our kids better identify what they feel. There's more to emotions than happy, sad, and scared. So
That's great. Actually, Amanda, since you're our millennial here, is there any way we could make that available on our website or put it here or as a document?
Yeah, absolutely. We could probably get it up. I'll get it to Kelly and we'll work to get it up on the website, and then we'll get it up on Facebook as well.
mm-hmm.
Great. So for those of you who are watching, it's a list of emotions and categories that we can kind of identify where we are and how we're actually feeling. And it'll especially help your kids with some language to share with each other. Now, Corey, you have a teenager at home.
I do.
What do you do with the teenager now that they're trapped at home?
I take them through the Old Testament, and we go through all the plagues, and I tell them, look, if you don't shape up, it's going to get worse for you.
Good. We're all on the same page.
Yeah. No. No. I think there's most of these things I think are important for all of us, not just the kids. I think one of the important things with my boys, because mine are 16 and 12, is getting facts. Because there's all sorts of, yesterday was a good example when someone posted that kids would have to make up this school year next year. Well, they thought it was a real funny April Fool's joke, but that has now created a big headache for the school district and everyone else. And just even the facts of what this whole virus thing is all about, just not freaking out, and just making sure that they know the reality of what's actually happening. That's one of the big things that, and I think just staying connected with their friends. Youth group has been a good thing for them to jump in and,
Mm.
Talk to each other. And, it just kind of gives them at least somewhat sense of normalcy through all of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being honest with them with real truth, real facts, not just the garbage.
So I'm going to divert a little bit. Leah's a teacher. That's for you, those of you who don't know, that's Pastor Corey's wife.
Yeah.
How is she helping to pour into her students? And what can parents do to help her?
I tell you. She's been working with her team and with her staff at school to kind of figure out how they're going to plot these waters. The kindergarten and first graders are in a little different situation because they don't have Chromebooks, not all of them, where the district issued Chromebooks to all the other grades, which is fantastic. But it does create some extra work on her part. But she's contacting the students a lot. Just this morning, she met with them on Zoom, and that is sheer pandemonium. Because, she's like, would you guys like to read this book together? And the kid's like, this is my bunny. And you get a lot of that. But
Kind of like staff meetings.
Yeah, I think a lot like
Welcome to
staff meetings.
Super Kids.
Yeah, but she's just trying to make contact with the parents and putting resources in their hands to use with their kids and doing whatever she can to keep the connection going with as many students as possible.
So what can parents or grandparents who are working with their kids at home do to support their teachers?
Read their emails, check Google Classroom, check Canvas, check all the different arenas that teachers use, Class Dojo. Keep up on those things because teachers are constantly posting things in those areas. And all the teachers are available by email. If you have any questions at all, she's checking her emails constantly. And so make sure parents are checking all of the different things you can. If you have questions, contact the schools, contact your teacher directly if you can, because they're doing everything they can to keep the kids engaged.
Yeah. So Amanda, thanks, Corey. You're in a different situation. You have 4 kids under 12. So how do you navigate those waters? And most importantly, I think maybe for us is how do you in your confined space give each of them their own important private time with you and with Tim?
Yeah, that's one of the things. We are really lucky because we're quarantining with my parents. And so the only places we're going are our house and their house. And so we're able to have kind of some of that space built in. But I was actually I've been doing a ton of reading on articles about ways to support kids. And there's the biggest thing that a lot of them come back to is giving yourself as a parent grace. I love how present the teachers are and how willing they are to help right now. But I also feel like I am drowning in emails. Like I get a Class Dojo notification at least once an hour from a different person in the school who's like, the PE teacher is posting, be doing this with your kids, and the art teacher is saying, do this with your kids. And then you see the, Pinterest schedules out that are like the homeschool moms who are rocking it are like, here's our schedule that we're doing. And so for us, it's really come down to a lot of grace and intentionality and trying to figure out a different kind of rhythm for right now. We are pretty strict with our kids' screen time, and we've really let that go a lot. I was even reading today that American Academy of Pediatrics, the guy who writes a lot of those guidelines, told parents, listen, those were not written for this time. Like for preschoolers, we say normally like an hour or so of screen time. 4 hours of screen time for your preschooler is a-okay. And so, it's really giving ourselves permission to do what works. For us, we've also created kind of some intentional moments where I got online and ordered for $14 a stomp rocket from Amazon. And, so we walked outside, and that was a thing and we made it a big thing where we were like, we're going to go, we have this surprise. And it wasn't a big thing, but it was to them because it was a break in the monotony. Our littlest ones kept saying, I like this party. And, that was all that we did. And so that's kind of been a lot of it for us. It's just the intentionality and finding a different rhythm.
So this is a question for everybody at whatever age your kid is. What if you start to see signs in them of depression or anxiety or fear? What do you do? That's an easy one.
Yeah.
One of the things that is, while, obviously none of us are celebrating this crisis, we do have moments in life where we get to leverage certain opportunities. And so, it's pretty rare that our kids get the glimpse into our work life and our responsibilities like they are now, and in the way that we are caring for ourselves. So we get to model really healthy self-care here. And even talking that through with them is what we have been doing a lot of, to where if I'm feeling kind of down, being honest with my kids and saying, I'm feeling kind of down today and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do to address that. Maybe let's go for a walk. Do you want to go for a walk with me? And so inviting them to name those and normalize that. Talking a lot about that it's expected to be feeling the tension and the pressure right now on the different things in age appropriate, honest ways. I think that's for us been kind of a key thing.
Yeah, modeling is a great way to work with kids, and being honest, as Jenny said earlier, about her feelings, and helping kids be honest about what they're feeling, and maybe even describing some of those feelings. Because for a lot of kids, they're not encouraged to, and adults weren't encouraged as kids to name their feelings and be honest about them. How about Corey and Jenny? What do you do when you see in a kid that they're struggling?
I try to help them remember some of the lessons that they've already learned from Super Kids or Sunday School or VBS. Because the Bible's full of folks who faced tough times and needed to be brave or courageous. And, how many times in the Bible does it tell us, do not fear? An awful lot. I think about the video that Diana Benjamin shared with me a week or so ago of her nieces and nephews I think they were in the car, or they were pretending to be in a car. And this was right after everybody was told to stay home and whatnot. And the kids cried out, when life is scary, trust God. And that was one of our daily Bible points from VBS last year. And it literally brought me to tears, knowing that here these kids are in a family, everybody at that point facing some really unknown and tough times. And what came to them was this Bible truth that we taught them at VBS last year. And so, that was great for those kids. They were paying attention.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, Amanda, you said you're quarantining with your parents. A lot of us aren't doing that.
Yeah.
And so what are some, I've seen a lot of creativity lately. So for those who have kids and have aunts and uncles and grandparents, or for those of us who are grandparents and can't see our grandkids, what are some of the things we're doing to stay connected?
Yeah, this is where we get to utilize a lot of technology. It can be a big one here where our kids are getting to video chat a lot. But I think that there's also a really cool opportunity for our church family and for adults who are in that different stage to do some kind of fun things that spark some joy, like who doesn't love getting mail that isn't junk mail? And especially for kids, no matter if they're 18 or if they're 7 or younger, getting a piece of mail with their name on it is such an easy thing to do. Drop a note in there, and it can be something really easy and simple. And I think just a lot of it goes back to being intentional, to making that phone call and being willing for those of us who struggle more with technology to step outside our comfort zone a little bit and say, I don't know what I'm doing here, but you're really important. And so I'm gonna make it work because I want to see you and connect with you.
Yeah. So Corey, you have family in town. What are you doing to keep connected with them, and especially your Matthew and Cameron, your boys?
Yeah, it's mainly just been doing phone calls.
Yeah.
Just got off the phone with my dad a little bit ago, and I don't know if he's going to be capable. I hope he is, but he's trying to restring a guitar soon, so he's wanting my help with that. So that should be interesting. But yeah, it's mainly kind of like what Amanda was saying. We just kind of get creative with our technology. I love the idea of like sending mail. I'll have to teach my kids how to write on a piece of paper. That they can't just put a sheet in front and start pounding on it and somehow letters will appear. But that's a great idea. But I think, and just I'm kind of still thinking about the how do we deal with our kids kind of thing. One of the big things too, I think, is just staying positive. Reminding everybody that, hey, this will end at some point. This isn't the end of the world as much as we'd like to think about it. And the other thing too is don't watch too much news, especially when your kids are in the room. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Do something positive, because there's really not a whole lot of happy on the news. If you need to have that fixed, do it when they're in bed. But try to keep the conversations in a positive light. And even talking with my dad or my mom, who are both in town, who I haven't been able to see much. Yeah. We're not just focusing on the dreariness and the negatives of this. We're trying to find the humor in things, and just kind of saying the positive of, hopefully this will never happen again. But since we're here, let's make the absolute best of this situation. It does us no good to sit around and just think about how awful everything could possibly get. Now let's look at the good things.
In Super Kids, we call those God sightings, and at VBS as well. And every week in Super Kids, we start out our time together sharing our God sightings that we've experienced in the last week. And a God sighting is, where have we seen God at hand in our lives throughout the week? And maybe it's something as simple as, the flower that's in your yard, or the sunshine. For me this week, it's my neighbor who painted a giant smiley face on the back of the garage he's constructing this spring. What a fun surprise. And it just helps you look for the positive things that God has blessed us with, that if we're not intentional about it, it's going to be missed.
Yeah. That's a great idea. I, as you were talking, Jenny, was thinking, what would it look like to go on a God sighting walk with our kids and walk the block and have them point out things that remind them of God, because there's so many, and especially this time of year, spring. So anything else you would say to parents or grandparents or godparents or aunts, uncles?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. So one is that I think it's really important right now to be teaching our kids, whatever age, to be processing some of the grief that they're feeling. We already have our 6-year-old is getting ready to turn 7. So she's already thinking about how different her birthday is going to be. We, had planned on doing a spring break trip that we're not getting to do. So there's a really cool exercise that was put out by a ministry group that I am involved with, and they're inviting families to create a board, like a space in your house where you have a grief section and a gratitude section. And so where you're able to name the things that you're sad that you're missing out on. And it could be something little, like I miss going to Roasters, or it could be something big, like we're not, getting to go to Portland for our spring break trip. And then the flip side of that is also engaging the gratitude, is being grateful for the small things, like the dishes getting put away, or getting to go outside and things like that. And so I think teaching our kids to do a lot of that processing. And then I just want to say one thing about teenagers too, is that they're one of the things I love about this generation of teenagers is how much they have a heart and passion for serving others. And so I think as adults, whether like Steve, like you said, whether that's parents or godparents or grandparents or church family, inviting them into some ways to serve together. And that could be something like writing a note to a congregation member. It could be teaching them how to make a phone call to, someone who's like a church grandma or grandpa, and just encouraging them to be looking outside of themselves right now as well. That always kind of helps lift spirits and grow.
That's good. I wanted to add too that we have, if we're paying attention to them, many teachable moments. And a teachable moment is taking something that's happening and then teaching through that moment. For instance, we're hearing a lot about death and dying. And so why wouldn't we take this opportunity to talk to our kids at an age appropriate level, of course, about death and dying and what scripture says about death and life and new life. And so I think taking those moments that God gives us to prepare our kids to understand the more deeply theological and important matters. How about you, Jenny and Corey? Anything else you want to leave our group with as we talk about ministering to kids in this time of pandemic?
Well, the only other thing that I had thought of is, we hear a lot about keeping a routine and making a schedule for each day and whatnot. And that's a great idea. But I'd also like to encourage people to schedule in downtime and quiet time. This is a great opportunity to start, or enhance or add to your family devotion time, which is quiet time, but also downtime where kids are allowed to do whatever it is that they want, within reason, of course. But maybe that helps them develop a little bit of imagination and throw them out in the backyard now that the weather's nice and tell them to go build a fort in the tree or something. I don't know. But something non-electronic and not commercially prompt.
Great. Yeah. Around here, we have no TV time. And so we just read, which is also an electronic device, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just turning off that background noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Corey, we're waiting for your words of wisdom to bring us home.
The only other thing I was thinking about is one of the things we've been trying to do with not just our boys, but all of us is not just keeping schedules for like when they do schoolwork, that kind of stuff, but even things like eating and sleeping, moving around. We're trying to keep our boys eating lunch at the same time so that they're not getting all goofy about their schedules. Because the temptation is, well, let's stay up super late, let's sleep in really late. Well, yeah, there can be a little bit of that, but at the same time, they need their sleep, they need their food, they need, some of that normalcy, I think, just kind of keep them a little, just so they don't think they're on summer vacation quite yet.
Yeah, that's good. Routine is really important. I agree. Well, this has been great. I want to encourage those who are watching in our congregation and others.
Oh, Courtney.
We're here for you. You can contact us and let us know that you're having trouble, and we'll do our best to come alongside you, certainly pray with you and provide ideas if we have them. So you're not alone, and we value kids at RLC. We love them, and we love your kids. And so
I would love to be a pen pal. I would love to be a pen pal with any kid that wants to write me a letter. I will write them back as many times as they write me.
Yep, we all will agree to that. So our addresses are in the directory. We'd love to hear from kids.
Yeah, really quick before we wrap up, I just want to say too.
We're done.
No. I think too, the other thing is like when we talked about looking for signs in our kids, being honest with ourselves and not being afraid to reach out and get the help that's needed. Tim and I are doing marriage counseling via the computer right now, and we have our kids in counseling via the computer right now. And so those resources are still available too.
Excellent point. Good. Well, we've gone long, and I'm not going to apologize for it because it's been great conversation. But Amanda has some announcements before we go.
Yes. So we will post these all on Facebook and on the website as well. And we're really going to focus in on just kind of the highlights because these announcements are getting pretty long. But a couple of things just to bring to mind. One, tonight we have Lenten worship at 7:00 on our YouTube stream. And so we invite you to come and participate in that with us. We also have worship on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. This last Sunday, one of the blessings of the live stream not working is people got to chat. So we're actually inviting people to gather there at 9:40 to do some of that chat before church and check in with one another. Also, looking ahead, we have Holy Week coming up already next week. I can't believe that it's almost here. And so stay, kind of keep your eyes open for those worship services and information on those that are coming out. Any announcements that I missed there?
I don't think so. We're doing our best to communicate.
Yeah.
Staff and I are making phone calls, but we would encourage you to call us. We're all listed in the directory, and we would love to hear from you and pray with you.
Yeah. Oh, I remembered one more announcement. We're going to start a virtual worship gathering on Sunday mornings. And so we're going to put out a Zoom link for those of you guys who don't have 6 people in your household like I do, and who are maybe wanting to worship virtually with some other people from RLC. So be watching your email and the Facebook page and the app for that link. We'll start gathering there on Sunday morning at 9:40. And our congregation council president, Sandy Steele, is going to kind of host that for us.
Yeah, that's exciting. I think that's just really creative. It's a great idea. Well, folks, it's been good to be with you again, and we'll see you tonight at 7 on our YouTube channel. God bless you. We love you, and we can't wait until we're together again. Bye.
Yeah.